Hi, CAED community. My name is Henry McKay. I'm a third-year city and regional planning major. With me today is Alice Zanmiller, sustainability planner with the County of Marin. Welcome, Alice. Thank you for joining us.
It's a pleasure to be here.
My first question, could you share with us a little bit about your career path overall and how you got to your current role with the County of Marin?
So I graduated from Cal Poly 5 years ago. When I was in my last year at Cal Poly, I was interning at a consulting firm that was PMC, that's since become Michael Baker International. And I was interning on their climate action sustainability team. So I had a lot of great opportunity when I was still in school to work on climate action plans and greenhouse gas inventories. And so when I graduated, I was able to stay on full time with them, and I relocated to the Bay Area. It was a really sort of rigorous start to my career. Consulting is hard, and there is sort of no opportunity to just sort of ease into things. So it's a really incredible learning experience, and I got so much real life opportunity to work on greenhouse gas inventories and community meetings. And it's really, powerful to be young and have a lot of trust put in you and a lot of responsibility to do those things. And so I worked there until, August of 2016, at which point an opportunity came up to do a really similar role, but within local government. So I've been with the County of Marin for, over 3 years now. And it's really powerful to get to sort of dig deep into one community and work on programs that span years and years. And also working at a local government, I've really got to try new things that wouldn't have necessarily been an option before. So because there's such a small staff on our sustainability team, we have about 5 people. When new programs come up that need someone to dig into a green building code or a lot of things like that I hadn't done before, I really had the opportunity to sort of step into those roles and learn a lot of new things.
Jumping to your work at the County of Marin, could you just describe, I guess, maybe to people what your daily job looks like as a sustainability planner at the County of Marin?
Yeah, I love my job. It's fun because every once in a while I'll interact with what I call like real planners who are looking at plans and have like a slide rollout. And I feel like totally in awe of them because I've never done that job. So it looks really hard to me. My day-to-day changes a lot. It's interesting working on climate action planning and sustainability at a local government because right now we actually are in the time of our cycle where we are updating our actual climate action plan. But the rest of the time you're sort of like, okay, so we adopted this. How do we make these changes? How do we implement these programs? How do we reduce our emissions? So for my first few years at the county, I was doing the annual inventory updates. So I was still getting to do that and checking in on our progress. But a lot of my work has been in green building codes, which just sort of happened to be the niche that was available there. There's a lot of other ways to be a sustainability planner at a city. You can work in transportation, alternative transportation. You can work in watersheds. There's so many sort of facets to get into, but a lot of our work is funded by energy efficiency dollars, sort of at a state and regional level. So a lot of my work has sort of focused around energy efficiency, decarbonization, reducing emissions from natural gas, those sorts of things. So my day-to-day in the last few years has focused a lot on green building code updates. Because I work at a county, it's a really sort of special role because there's 11 other cities in Marin County and we get to work really closely with them. And because it's a really small group of cities, so 11 cities, most of them have less than 10,000 people. So there's a lot of collaboration. And so part of my job is getting to do stuff for the County of Marin, but then I also get to sort of encourage those policies and support staff in other cities.
What, I guess, skill set do you see as being more necessary for people specifically wanting to go into the climate action field as opposed to others, perhaps?
It's a really good question. I guess I'll just say the kind of boring stuff first. Is it's important to be analytical. I think that planners are great because you sort of get an education that's both. But frankly, a lot of my day is spent in Excel and just at least having some baseline Excel proficiency. Like I still have never used macros, but just sort of being able to process data and understand how to organize your thoughts around numbers is helpful. And then also sort of just having an analytical way of thinking about the way that the world is and sort of the ways that fossil fuels are embedded in our daily lives. I think that it's really different to be a sustainability planner compared to maybe like an environmental activist, because you really, even though it would be lovely to be like, we should just take out all the natural gas and we should just ban like internal combustion engine cars. You know, we're sort of the ones who have to say like, okay, what does that really look like if we wanted to achieve net zero carbon emissions by 2030? But you're kind of the one who has to be like, what does the policy mechanism look like? What does the economic mechanism look like? So just being analytical and just sort of not being afraid to try new things. Like I had never read a building code in depth before starting this job, and that was sort of my first big like assignment. And at first it's like really scary and icky. You're just like, oh, there's all these like sub bullets. But once you get into it, you realize like it's a code. I know how to read like zoning codes, and you just sort of can sort of calm yourself down from being afraid of legalese. And it's really powerful to feel like you can read something that's really technical and interpret it. And I think also, especially for young people who are graduating now, who are interested in sort of the intersection of cities and climate change, like there's a real opportunity for youth leadership. I mean, most of the people who are working in sustainability now and have sort of framed what they think cities should look like from a sustainable lens won't be alive in 2050. And people who are graduating college today will be. So I think that there's a lot of power in being able to sort of demand better of our leaders and sort of not being afraid to say like, this isn't enough. And especially it's such a weird time to be graduating. And so if there's, I mean, we're in an election year, like any sort of community organizing work or anything like that, I think actually overlaps a lot. And is something that I've never really done, but I think is really powerful and important.
I think this would totally differ based on the context, and Marin County would probably look a lot different than maybe working in like the Central Valley or other places throughout the United States. And this is something Adrian talks a lot about, sort of like climate communication and how you present yourself at these public meetings and how you explain pretty complex science that, frankly, I don't understand a whole lot of. But to in public meetings, to a lot of people who may be skeptical of that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, the climate change communication, there's like so much incredible work being done there. I wish I could remember this resource, maybe out of Yale or I don't know, but some people have done like these really incredible briefings on like, here's how to communicate climate change to like church groups. Here's like sort of different sort of demographic groups that might have different motivators. I think, yeah, you're right that a lot of the places I worked, the experience is that people are generally on board. And I think also there's still just like so much that could be done better in terms of public meetings, and that when we say, we're going to talk about the climate action plan, come join us. The people that are there, the people who are interested in talking about the climate action plan. So it's interesting from a program level to be like, well, how can we communicate to people in their daily lives and choices? I think also there's just a lot of power in communicating to people like, what is the role of local government? What is the role of individuals? And talking about things from a system level, because it does feel really overwhelming and impossible to look at solutions from these sort of hyperlocal lenses, and just being honest and recognizing like the power of sort of extractive capitalism in our whole society and how it's really difficult to push against that. And so I don't know, maybe that's not the best way to communicate it to people, but I do think we're in a point in climate action planning where people aren't dummies and they know that if they switch their light bulbs, like that's not going to be enough. And so I think we're maybe getting to the time where we're going to have more frank conversations with people about like real changes that our lives will have to see.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.